Good morning. How's it going, everyone? Can you all hear me? Just quickly see. We've got a few chats going on here. Let's see. How's it going? Let's see who's on this call, who was on this training session this morning. So we've got Leslie. Welcome, Leslie. Here we go. We've got Chantel. We've got Adam. We've got Alison, Ashley, Carly, Brian, Chantel, the entire Hawkwoods team all joining us for this training session this morning. Fantastic. Everyone can hear me well. It seems like that's also no issue at all. There you go. We'll just give it a second or so. Just make sure everyone is popping on. I see the numbers are going up and up and up and up and up. That's good. A lot of people attending this training session. So welcome everyone for joining us this morning. Okay, let's see. Any special comments, chats? Morning. How's it going, Monica? How's it going, Yana? Yes, Yana. Good seeing you online as well. Awesome. Okay, thanks. We are 10 o'clock. If anyone is missing this training session, we are making sure that it's actually recording. So don't be worried if you need to jump off or do something else. Then we'll make sure we send out this recording as well. So again, thanks everyone. I know that your time is very valuable. Let's jump into the training session. So as you can see, the focus for today's session is non-negotiable social media skills that we as estate agents actually need to have. And I think the topic on its own is so vast. When I started looking into it, you know, I realized quickly that this is actually quite a detailed training session, but I'm going to try and make sure that we can all take something away from this. There's going to be a few things that I want to obviously just make sure that we really put some emphasis on. But let me maybe just share some insight on why I specifically said that this is an important topic to discover and obviously to talk about. It was about 2 months maybe ago that one of our officers phoned me quite in a panic, and they said, listen, we've got this client, and this client actually says that they are, you know, quite skilled at digital marketing. And in all honesty, they were a bit intimidated about this client's ability to say, you know, they can actually do quite a lot of digital marketing themselves. And they wanted to ask the office, well, what are you guys going to do for me? So how are you actually going to market this property? So I want you to imagine for a moment that you are actually sitting in front of Devi, which is, again, I think for everyone in South Africa, you know that Devi is ruthless. So if you had to sit in front of Devi and she was the head of a marketing department, so let's say she was the head of Takealot.com's marketing, and you actually needed to present her with a marketing plan and do a proposal of how you would be actually marketing a property. And you took her through the marketing plan, and this is what you told her. You would tell her that I would list your property on Property 24, private property, and our national website. And after that, crickets. Now, unfortunately, when I look at most of our agents, and again, if it's not you, don't take it personal, but I can tell you without a doubt that majority of our agents take a listing when they get a listing from a client, and the hope is that they put it on Property 24 or some of these platforms, and that's the main marketing technique that they should be following, and that's where most of the actual leads would be generated from, or that's almost acceptable when it comes to marketing a property. And I'm hoping that if you go through what I've just mentioned here, that you would ask yourself the question, is this me? Am I one of those agents that have just gone through the process of sitting in front of a client, they've given me the property, I've taken the pictures, I've put it onto the website, and that's almost the extent of my marketing plan? And I'm hoping that many of you would say no, but unfortunately the data does show us that majority of our listings and the marketing that gets done really ends at the property portals. but very few of us venturing into other avenues and being able to look at other ways that clients can market their property. Now, if we add to take a helicopter view of our business and the future of real estate, quite a few, not quite a few, but a few years back, clients that didn't have as much information as they currently do. They didn't have access to a lot of technologies, and even the internet has made it so easy for people to go and search and find things out. So the real question here is actually to say, well, if I had to think of myself as a client, and I know that I've got access to a platform like Lightstone, because again, clients they can actually go and request a report. They've got access to the property portals where they can see important information. Some of the property portals obviously allow the clients to also market their own properties. So if a client was saying, listen, all you are doing as an estate agent is basically giving me the same things I can actually get on my own, how relevant is the agent? What part does the agent then play? And I'm hoping that with today's session that you might look at that question, or the question I'm posing of, well, what am I actually contributing to this client's marketing, and how do I actually contribute to getting their property sold and giving them the right information? Because if it's just something that they can find anywhere on the internet, then unfortunately, I'm not contributing enough. And with no disrespect, I'm not saying that that's the way that where I see ourselves. I'm still a very firm believer that estate agents have a massive role to play in the success of the sale of a property. But we don't often enough look back and say, well, what are we actually supposed to be doing? What should we be incorporating into our marketing process to make sure that we actually are on top of the trends that our clients might not yet be familiar with? So looking at a few of the things that we can pick up, and again, this is just some data. There's not a lot of these slides that I want to show you, but just a few things that I just want to highlight from just researching local trends, or not local, but international trends that also apply to us in South Africa. This is a study done by Domo. So Domo, if anyone doesn't know what Domo is, so Domo is a pretty sophisticated piece of software that analyzes data. That's all Domo does. It's a fantastic platform and system that analyzes data. And they are able every single year to produce a document or a graphic that looks like this, where they tell you that every minute of the day, what people are doing and what are they actually spending their time on. And a few of the interesting ones that I want to share with you is, if you look at one of the trends that is definitely increasing, is something like Instagram stories. So Instagram stories, I'm hoping that some of you might even be aware of what a story is, but if you don't, I'll explain to you what it is. But Instagram stories, just from the previous year, so obviously this is 2020, because that was the year that we obviously have the full year's worth of data. But the previous year, I followed the previous year as well, and the previous year was just over 200,000 stories being created per minute. So again, this is per minute. So it's close to 100,000 more stories being created every single minute versus 2019. So that's already a massive trend that we should be looking into. Something else, looking into Facebook. Photos. Facebook and photos are still very popular. So understanding that adding pictures and content on there. So every single minute, there's at least 147,000 photos being uploaded onto Facebook. Another one that's standing out quite significantly is the amount of videos being added to YouTube. So every single minute, 500 hours worth of video is being uploaded to YouTube. Some other interesting stats, and again, this is just basically the last graph where you won't be able to see as much detail. No, it's small, but if you want the full page, please just message me afterwards, and I'll send you these graphs and stats just afterwards. But again, I'm going to just take a few of the important things from this. If you look at this graph, it basically shows you mobile traffic worldwide. So how do they define that traffic? They define it as anytime someone takes something from the internet and the data gets sent to a device. So it means when I'm on the internet, even something like a WhatsApp message, that they measure and they say, well, what portion of the data being taken from the internet and being moved to an actual device, how do they break it down? And I'm pretty sure you'll see the big one is video streaming. So video streaming, that includes TikTok, YouTube, Netflix, Facebook video, anything that's basically like video streaming. They see it as 49% of the traffic comes from video streaming. And surprisingly, 20%, so from all the downloaded data, 20% worldwide is just allocated for YouTube. So YouTube is a massive part of people's day-to-day lives. Then social media. Again, you most likely all on here for this reason, because we need to understand social media. Social media takes up 19%, and that's a combination largely of Facebook and Instagram, where a lot of that data comes from those two channels. And you'll see, again, I know it's very small on your side, but you'll see things like Twitter and all that stuff is also on there. But the reality is, this is already a clear sign that if I need to focus on where my contribution could be, or where I could possibly add value more so than I'm currently doing, this is a clear indication of what I should be focusing on. Another part that I think many of us aren't familiar with is Google My Business. So anytime you actually go, and you can use Harcourt's offices as a prime example. If you type in Harcourt's Port Alfred in Google, you'll see on the left, the right-hand side, you'll see the office profile actually popping up. Now that's no coincidence. We've actually structured it that way, that every single one of our offices has a dedicated Google My Business profile. Now, what you might not be aware of is that you as an individual agent could also have your very own Google My Business profile. Now, I'm pretty sure that anyone that's on this call would agree that if you have any opportunity to be on Google and rank on Google and have people engage with you on Google without spending a lot of money, you should jump at that opportunity. And that's what I'm trying to maybe just convey with today's sessions, looking for a few of the opportunities and how we can bring it into our own business. And Google My Business is one of those opportunities where I think we've seen in the last few months with the Poppy Act, we've seen with conflict between Facebook and Apple. Maybe you're not aware of that conflict, but the two of them are basically at heads because Apple is quite specific about clients' privacy and not sharing information. So things like a client not being able to be tracked by Facebook is very important to a company like Apple. So they've actually put in one of their software updates that if I'm uncomfortable with having my activity, online activity, being monitored and shared with a platform like Facebook, I can actually switch it off. And that's obviously not ideal for Facebook, because Facebook actually generates a lot of their income from running ads. Now, it's not all doom and gloom. Again, I think for most of us, if you like me, you would actually say, I would rather want to have better targeted ads, because if I'm not at all interested in a product, I don't want to see an ad. But if there's a product of something that I actually am interested in, I don't mind seeing an ad for that. So again, there's two conflicts. But to go back to the Google side, is that Google still remains somewhat neutral in our eyes. So we still see that Google isn't this controversial platform with a lot of our data, when actually in reality, they've got the most amount of data on us, but they haven't yet been a cause of concern for many of us. Now, when I say we need to look at Google My Business, again, this is still a way that you can possibly rank higher, be found by clients, and build a small little network and business of yourself and your ability to sell property that can be used to generate more business for you and possibly become a tool that you can also market on that platform. So again, I'm not going to go into too much detail about Google My Business and how to set it up. I do think it's quite easy if you just look at this. If you type in Google My Business and you register or sign in, you obviously need to have a Gmail account. Go and have a look at one of our offices, Google My Business profiles. Again, if Harcourt Sport Alfred is a prime example of what I would say a platform that you need to, or one of the offices that you need to go and have a look at. So if you look at Harcourt Sport Alfred, type it into Google, on the right-hand side, you will see that their entire profile actually comes up, and you'll see there's a lot of stuff you can do. You can push people to give you an overall service rating. So you as an agent, you can start building up that your overall ranking and rating. So people will be able to rate your service. You can add things like your contact details, so clients can easily contact you from their mobile devices. Another nice feature is you can obviously have your listings. You can add your listings and properties on there, add it onto Google, and obviously the opportunity of people finding that. And then the other part that I almost want to encourage you to also then look into is, as soon as you've created a Google My Business profile, Google encourages you to start creating ads, and you can then run ads on Google using your Google My Business profile. So that's one of the trends I do think that very few, I haven't seen a single South African person or single South African agent that has their own Google My Business profile. So we've got for all of our offices that we've already created quite a few years back already, and fantastic results for that. But something that I can say you as an agent possibly need to look into as well. When I mentioned that clients have got access to a lot of information, again, I just wanted to share with you that if you're not familiar with Property 24's functionality, where if you type in any suburb on the right-hand side, there's actually an option for you to get more detailed information about a specific suburb. And again, this is a bit of a tongue-in-cheek comment, but if we think that we can't or we can keep information from clients, that's never the way that we should be promoting ourselves or trying to show our value to a client, is by trying almost not to have people be aware of the tools that are out there. The idea is that we need to be able to actually enhance the service that we provide to them. But if you aren't aware of this, this is actually extract from that specific section on Property 24. So a client has actually got already full access to be able to see in their suburb, what is the average amount of, what's the average selling price of a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 5-bedroom? How many listings gets added in? What's the average selling price? All that data is already available to our clients out there. So again, we sometimes think that, I'm the only one that's got this information, yet we need to be aware that these are trends that we're picking up, that this type of information, where in the past it wasn't freely available to clients, have now become free. This is free of charge. So the CMA that we might be doing, we need to sometimes double check if we've got the right data, because the clients that we're dealing with might be more informed about what's happening in our area than we might be. And it saddens me to say that sometimes in training sessions where I've asked officers and I've asked agents, listen, can you maybe give me some insight about your area? How many properties sold in the last year? What trends are you picking up? And in all honesty, very, very few of our agents are aware of exactly what's happening in the areas. And yet we've actually got quite a few agents. And I remember specifically a conversation with Jason Hutton just before he actually was doing one of our masterclass sessions, where he was able to give me all the details about what's happening in his community. And I want to go back to the old saying that we have in Harcourt, is saying, make sure that you go deep and not wide. Specializing in a specific area is what we should be looking at doing. If our area is too big, then it severely limits our ability to take up enough information. There's no shame in being able to tell a client that I don't specialize in a neighboring suburb. There's some trends that we're seeing with the United States, where even in an area like New York, where it's so dense and there's a lot of people and a lot of agents working in that space, there's agents that literally just work in one apartment block. So they are the only agent working in that entire block, but they sell majority of the stock. And we do see it in our area as well in South Africa, where our top agents do understand that they should ultimately become the expert of their own area. And I think of people like Maureen Nell, Valdevi, that's where she works, that's where she operates in. And there's not 1,000 properties in Valdevi. She understands that having that niche market, she operates in that space. And if there's something that's a few kilometers away, she doesn't even touch it. And I think that's the type of mentality that we should have, because it's just too difficult to monitor all of the information and do it in the same way that our competitors or the platforms are actually doing at this point in time. Then when we look at all our organic type of content that we should be producing, so keeping in line with what we can actually be doing to market ourselves and do it on a consistent basis, we always need to go back to our organic content, things that doesn't cost you a lot of money. And I'm a big proponent of don't spend money when it's not necessary to spend money. But sometimes we don't have the formula of how we should be creating content and what should we be sharing and how often should we be sharing it. So in this example, I'm going to show you that there's a few categories. I've basically broken it down into 4 segments. So if we look at sales content, this is typically your just listed, just sold type of content that you are putting on Facebook or any type of digital marketing or social media marketing. For you as an agent, you should actually be limiting that only to 10% of your activity. Offices, just as an example, 30% of your overall content should basically consist of just listed, just sold, that type of activity. Then when we look at industry insight, so these are more things maybe with regards to your office, the success of the office, your overall performance in a specific area, those types of posts, same as with the sales activity, limited to 10% of your overall content creation. But when it comes to office, 20% is ideal. And the place where we actually then fall short is the fun content, the things that we actually do on a day-to-day basis that we enjoy doing. And I know that obviously this is a picture of a Harcourt's office. But the reason why I put this one specifically on there, because this was an organic piece of content, and you might likely see here that it's got 7,655 people that it reached. So no money was spent on this, but because it was such a good piece of news, it was actually fun for people to see that this office was being recognized as our rising star office. Sharing good news, sharing your hobbies, sharing things that you enjoy doing with your family, showing people that you are human outperforms any type of content you ever could create, any just listed or any industry insight. Whenever you create fun content or things that you enjoy doing and bringing people into the fact that they should see you as another human being and not just as an estate agent, that drastically increases your reach. And again, talking about organic content, this is the type of organic content that we should be focusing on creating. And for an agent, this should ultimately consist of 40% of the content that you create. For office, you can only have 30%. And the last bit of content, and again, I use Jason as this example here, because I think this was a good post from his side as well. It's just the overall original content that you're sharing. So things where you actually just in the spur of the moment can take a picture with a client, where you congratulate them on the new purchase of the property. These type of pieces of content make up a large portion of the content that actually does tend to go viral. And for no additional money that gets added into, or no additional spend that needs to be added onto this, it does reach a lot more people than any of our posts. So for the last few months, I've been assisting my offices with some scheduled posting. So looking at the 30% and this 20% of content, that's basically the social media posting that we're doing on behalf of our offices. And I can tell you now without a doubt that when we look at the actual engagement on these pieces of content, it never, ever, ever reaches the same sort of engagement as people being able to see some fun content, and people being able to see some original content that you create as an agent, some behind the scenes stuff, some sneak peeks, and I'll go into a bit more detail of the things that I think we can be sharing with our clients that won't cost us a lot of money or any money at all. But the one thing that I want to mention that overrides every single piece of content, and again, organic content that you can ever create, is whenever you focus on the community. So a few months back, we had our top 20 business owners in a room, and one of the questions I actually asked them was, if they had to tell me a piece of content that almost went viral, where it outperformed anything and performed better than they ever expected, every single time that I asked a question, someone gave me feedback, you can almost categorize it as content and being content driven towards improving the lives of the community. So example of this, a few months back, obviously there was those fires in Cape Town, and this specific post performed significantly better than anything else that they could have posted, because it was part of the community, was so vital for people to understand what's happening in that area with those fires. And we've seen it with some of our other campaigns that we're also running. So for some of our offices, we've looked at area reports, campaigns that we run. And if ever you want to focus or get a campaign that would possibly do significantly better than anything else, if you focus as much as possible in a small community and making sure that people in the community know about it, that's where you'll see the most success. We often think about our community groups as sometimes a bit of a toxic area because there's so many engagements. Sometimes people are nasty on those Facebook platforms where there's a community group of people living in a specific suburb. But we have to understand that people are so emotive and they react to things, not because they're nasty, but because it's so close to home. It's close to where they live. And if there's a fire right next to where I live, without a doubt, I will be a lot more emotional than if it was happening in the United States. I mean, with this information, we need to understand that whenever we do anything, if you bring in your community, that's the best opportunity you have to possibly maximize reach. So doing broad things is not the idea. Making sure that we focus on our community is vital. Now, we need to start doing a few things. So obviously, I'll show you a few of the things that I suggest we need to do, but almost as a caveat to anything I'm going to suggest to you is, if you can't see yourself doing something for 90 days, then don't do it at all. The idea is that any of the things that I'm going to mention to you now would work. And most of them actually have proven that they can work. But it needs your commitment that it's not something that I just, you know what, I'm going to try it out for a week. There's no result that I can see from this. And then in 2 weeks' time, I stop doing it. Any type of activity or social media, and in general, it doesn't just have to be social media. There needs to be a level of commitment that you go, we'll at least be able to do this for 90 days, non-stop, and then go back and analyze the results. So you might have seen a bit earlier that video is quite significant when it comes to where people spend their time. And from all the things that I can possibly see as an opportunity for us as estate agents, which isn't being capitalized enough, video is like a massive siren going off and saying, listen, we as agents, specifically in South Africa, are not focusing enough on video content. And I'm looking at, again, early this morning, I was quickly on social media. I was looking at Tim and Karen Upton, where Tim actually said, listen, he's going to do a 30-second tour of a property. And I thought that was so fantastic. That was such an amazing thing, because that's exactly where you could get the most bang for your buck when it comes to creating any type of content. So here's a few suggestions of video content I would encourage you all to look into. So as a standard, you should, as an agent, have a 30-second profile video where you introduce yourself, the office you operate in, the area that you specialize in, and maybe just a short, like a description of who you are. Then you can actually have another piece of content, a video being created about you as an agent and why you've decided to be an estate agent. So was there an iconic moment where, it might have been a bad experience, or you might have been intrigued about the real estate industry, and sharing with people why you decided to become an estate agent, and have a few questions posed to you. Because that's a piece of content that, again, we categorize it as evergreen content. The profile video and the agent interview video, those content doesn't need to be updated every single week or every few months. It's something that you can easily share with clients, and especially when you even think about just that listing appointment, initial meeting that you have with a client. That's a fantastic piece of content that you could be sharing with your clients. Social proof. So social proof, this is a bit more of your bragging, where you actually look at your past performance, being able to do a video about a few of the things, a few of the properties you've just listed, properties that you've recently sold. And I've categorized another one where I say, apologies for, I know peek is spelled incorrectly, but if I look at a sneak peek video, the idea there is that whenever I have a new listing, why not create a short video clip, just like I saw this morning with Tim Upton, where the whole idea is that I actually encourage people to send me their information before we even put this property on the market. Because while I'm at that property, taking the listing, nothing prevents me from quickly standing outside the property, doing a quick video where I'm saying, hi guys, I've just come through a successful meeting with owner in this state or in this road. We're listing this property, show them a quick picture of the property, give them an idea of what the amenities are of the property, and tell them, leave your details as soon if you want more information about this property. In this current market where stock is so vital and we don't have enough of that, you would have, without a doubt, a few people being able to share that video and saying, listen, I want to be the first person to know as soon as you've listed that property. Everyone is looking for that exclusive, hasn't yet been put onto the market listing, and creating that type of buzz around the listing. And your sellers expect that from you. They want to be able to say that, listen, you know what, I've got an agent that actually goes above and beyond just a standard, you know what, we'll put it on Property 24 and that we'll wait for people to phone us. Marketing stats and updates. I often see that this is not something that we lean into. We don't address the fact that many of our clients are so uninformed about what's happening in the area that the reason why clients sometimes are over anticipating what they might be able to get for their property is because they're not informed. For many years in training sessions, I've always asked, you know, if we had to ask a client where did they get the opinion of the value of a property, they often just refer to, you know, they're seeing that the property is being marketed for X amount of rand, and that's how they base their price or the value of their property on the marketing price of another property. When in actual fact, a property sells most of the time for less than what it was marketed for. And it's our responsibility as agents to make sure that we take it upon ourselves to educate our clients. And it's not just only when it comes to the properties that sold and what they sold for, but trends that are taking place in the community. Are a lot of properties being rezoned? Are there new developments? What's the average size of a property? Are people downgrading? Are they upgrading? In one of our Johannesburg offices, in the last 4 years, we've seen a massive change in people used to buy a lot of freehold property, and that's gradually gone down, and they tend to start purchasing properties in estates and sectional title properties. So there's a difference in their market that you as an estate agent need to inform and keep people up to date with what the local trends might be. Top 10 lists. So things that people need to be on the lookout for when buying a property. So again, just top 10 list is just an example, but 10 things that you need to look for when buying your property in this community, or top 10 things to look out for when you employ someone to do a COC certificate. These are all ideas that you should be looking into, and the best place for you to find what the topic should be is what are our clients' pain points. If we had to just do a quick survey, if you, every single time you speak to a potential buyer or to a seller and ask them, can you give me some insight in terms of what has been the most frustrating part about buying a property or selling a property? That is a clear indication that we should be creating content that addresses that pain point for a client. Another one that I think is ideal, especially for clients that purchase a property potentially in an area that they're not familiar with. We've seen it specifically with an area like Louis Trichardt, where someone that might live currently in Gauteng might not be aware of what the average, what R1 million might buy them in an area like Louis Trichardt. Creating a video that actually showcases what people would be able to buy for a certain amount of money is a very informative way to educate clients and have them see that not all of the suburbs in different regions are the same. So R1 million in Sandton will not be able to buy me the same sort of property as in Kloof KZN. And so it's with every single suburb in the entire country. Take it upon ourselves to be able to create that content and then be able to educate our clients as well. Highlight local businesses. Again, when I said the community, that's the important part. Being able to say, listen, we've got a community of small businesses, a lot of them that have been impacted by COVID-19, especially the restaurants and the bars and the places that obviously a lot of people gather were not able to operate for a lengthy period of time. Being able to go around your local businesses, small businesses, doing a short video where you interview them, look at their specialities and the things that they do well, and asking them if they would be comfortable with you sharing that to their platform and asking them in return to share it on their platform as well. That's the best way for you to build up, again, a good reputation or good relationship with local businesses where they would see you then as the person that they can refer clients to. There's no way that a business would say, you know, no, we're not interested in this video that you created about that's promoting us to share with our community. Anyone that's a proper entrepreneur would jump at the opportunity to say, listen, if someone wants to do a feature about their business, they would most likely be very happy that someone is actually doing that. And then the question and answer sessions, again, I think that's vital when you actually look at a few of the concerns, having concerns of our buyers and sellers. So someone that's a first-time buyer, what questions do they typically have and how do we answer that? And I think for many of us, we don't want to go into the Zoom session where we can actually have a dedicated time where we jump online and we actually share with clients some information. We might even be able to get an Uber consultant or get an attorney or get a qualified electrician and do the Q&As with them. One interesting stat that I found for anyone that's recently purchased a property is that well, it might not be that interesting because we might already be able to say that it's quite apparent, but a lot of people spend money in the first 2 months that they've purchased a property because there's a lot of stuff that they need to do. So people need to obviously maybe paint their property or they want to make a few changes. So people tend to spend more money once they've purchased the property for at least the first 2-3 months. But they don't often know where to spend the money. If they've moved into a new area, they don't even know the neighborhood. They maybe don't even know anyone in that neighborhood, so they feel pretty much alone. It's our jobs as estate agents to be able to help them through that process. And many of the videos that I've showed you here are pieces of content that you can share with your clients that would possibly make it a bit easier for them. So if you've got a few electricians or plumbers or people that they know that they can speak to, if you can have an interview with the local handyman or someone that actually owns a shop that sells supplies, that just helps the client to quickly be able to do find reliable places that they can obviously purchase products or use their services. I'm going to finish off the videos with just a few quick ones. I'm not going to go into too much detail with this. The one I want to actually show you is more of the ones that I think we should be doing and focusing on is obviously the property tours and things that we should actually by default be doing for our clients. So similar to what Tim did this morning with his video, I actually took another one also from the Cape Town region, but this is from the Harcourt's Atlantic office. I'm going to quickly just share with you this video. I know there's not going to be any sound, but this is a short video clip that was created, which was just a walkthrough of a property. And again, I think this is an ideal way that if we get into the habit of saying, listen, we need to be creating these types of videos that create engagement. People love to see themselves walking through a nice property. The days of creating lengthy 5-minute videos of a property is long gone. People's attention span don't last that long. They want to be able to quickly see something. And again, I know I'm talking a lot about Tim's video, but it was actually so perfect. To be able to say that, you know, do a 30-second video, you don't need to go through every single part of the property. The idea still is it's marketing. That's what we're here to do. We need to market. You need to be able to, when you market a property, you need to tease the client with enough information, but not give them too much information that they don't decide to contact you. So moving on to some of the other parts, the very last part about videos I want to talk about is that scary part that I want to maybe double down on and say, if you become comfortable with video and being able to record videos, being able to go live is a golden ticket and a golden opportunity that very few of us are actually following. So for anyone that might not be aware of this, but if you've ever seen when you go onto Instagram or when you're on Facebook, that as soon as one of your friends or someone that you follow goes live, it actually pops up. It actually comes up on your screen. There's not a single other way where you can disrupt the activity or engagement of anyone on Facebook or on Instagram as you could with going live. So what do we do with this information? If I know that there's opportunity for me to reach my audience, and again, this is all for free, there's no cost involved here. So if I'm not doing this, I'm actually not doing the way I should be doing it. If I don't see this as an opportunity where I can say, you know what, let me become the person that shares information frequently with people in our community. Things like, we've just mentioned it a bit earlier, a few of the concerns and questions that people have when purchasing a property trends, and bookmarking or actually advertising it as an event. You know, there's opportunity for us to say, you know, at least once a week, or if you want to really be conservative, maybe once a month, you invite people to a 15-minute live video session where they can just plug in or log in, and you then give them a market update about what's happening in the area, what's happening in the community. And the reality is, let's say there's 3 people that joined you, that's in the neighborhood, that's actually joined that session. It might sound like, oh, well, it's only three people. But if you have a 15-minute market update, there's a very small, it's almost impossible that you can tell me that you would be able to go and knock on the door of 3 clients in a neighborhood and be able to have a decent conversation with them in the same time it took you to have that live engaging webinar with the clients. You can actually say, listen, I've been able to speak to 3 individuals in 15 minutes, or have them get information about what's happening in the area. You can't replicate that even if you were knocking on doors and introducing yourself and speaking to clients. This is a missed opportunity for many of us where we feel uncomfortable, and again, I get it. But ever-growing, our client base, the younger generation, are so comfortable with being in front of a camera that those will become our future clients. The clients that might not now be comfortable with video, our clients of the future are exceptionally comfortable being in front of a camera because they're on TikTok the entire day creating those videos. Just think about yourself again, sitting in front of Debbie as I started off this session, sitting in front of Debbie and telling her that, you know what, Debbie, I'm really not comfortable being in front of a camera or creating video content for you, even though There's enough data that supports that video is without a doubt the best opportunity to have to reach more individuals and possibly widen that net of potential buyers for your property. As I said earlier, there's no more disruptive and easy way for you without spending any money to generate engagement than going live on some of these social media platforms. If it's not something you're comfortable with, you can practice. And again, I'm hoping that today's session, you'll understand that, yes, it might not come naturally to you, but we need to practice these big things, because just saying that I've given out a business card to a few clients isn't acceptable anymore. You need to become the expert and need to be comfortable being the person that is seen as the mayor of your community with all the information about what's happening in your area. Now, this is a question I want to pose to you, and I know we don't have a lot of time left, but this is a quick question I want to pose to you, and I know you can't really give me your feedback in the chat. It's going to maybe be too long. So the question is actually, but I want you to think about it. When last did you receive exceptional service? So think about it. When last did you receive truly exceptional service? Now, with you not being able to share your story, I'm going to share an example of my story, and then we'll maybe have a quick minute or two just to dissect that experience. Now, it might surprise you that my exceptional service, the last time I actually got exceptional service was in 2016. So 2016, I purchased a actual Apple Mac from Macro, and in 2016, for some reason, there was a day that the Mac didn't actually start up. There was nothing that I could see on the screen. As soon as I pressed the power button, just nothing happened. Nothing was actually happening. And very worried, because I purchased a very expensive piece of hardware, and obviously it's something that I actually used extensively to work with. The only place I could think of going to was the iStore, because hopefully they would be able to specialize in being able to fix this specific Mac. Remember, I didn't buy it at the Mac at Apple. I bought it at Macro, which is not affiliated with the iStore. So walking into the iStore and giving them my laptop and saying, listen, I don't know what's wrong with this laptop. Would you be able to see if you can fix this? And, fearing the worst, that this is going to cost me a lot of money because I've got no idea why it might have broken. I handed it over, really not knowing what to experience. And literally, as soon as I walked out of the door, I started experiencing something exceptional, and that was the level of detail and customer service from the iStore. As soon as I walked out, I received an SMS, the very first SMS, informing me that they addressed me. We've confirmed that we've got your MacBook, and we're going to send it off to the specialists to obviously look at what the problem might be, and that they will keep me up to date with what's going on. For about 5 days, I received communication from the iStore by SMS, by email, on the progress of my actual laptop, to the point where they were actually able to phone me and say, listen, we figured out what the problem is. It was a cable that somehow was disconnected from a hard drive, and that was the reason why it actually didn't work. So they opened it up, they fixed it, and they said, no worries, we'll send it your way to the iStore where you actually dropped it off. I got a notification to say, listen, you can come and pick up your MacBook, and this is the package that it was in. And as soon as I got it, I was waiting to find out how much would this possibly cost me, because nothing is done for free. And they said, no, we're not going to charge you we're not going to charge you anything. We didn't need to replace anything in the Mac. And I couldn't believe that they went through all that process. It needed to be sent somewhere else. They've gone through the process of keeping me up to date. They put it in this plastic bag for me, and they handed it to me, and they didn't charge me a single cent. And if we dissect this, experience. And again, that was just the Mac actually powering up the first day. And actually, that's why I took pictures of this, because I couldn't believe this experience. And since then, I've actually been a loyal fan of Apple. And again, for anyone, it's no problem. Everyone obviously likes products what they like, but this is a big reason why I support them so much. But it's not to tell you that we need to all be supporting iStore. The thing that I actually I just want to focus on with this, why was this such a significant experience for me? And I think I can almost just summarize it by saying, anytime you've had an exceptional experience, it was unexpected. So you as a consumer, whenever something is predictable, it's very difficult for you to be able to say that it was exceptional service. And that's why I'm saying, honestly, the last time I had exceptional service was 2016 because of this experience I had with him. Because people doing what they're supposed to be doing shouldn't be seen as exceptional service. So me marketing a property and just putting it on Property 24 and waiting for a client to phone me, and if a client's property is overpriced, not taking the time to help them through that process, I can't expect to have a client raving about my service if that's the process that I follow. So it's vital for me to understand that I need to look for opportunities to impress and wow our clients, because that's the way that we'll be able to create exceptional service. And that's the type of clients that will then talk about us when it comes to the reviews, and when it comes to the bride that they're standing with their friends and needing to engage with people, and someone asks them, listen, which agent should I be using? Because again, it sounds very it's very controversial if I say this, but most agents are okay. They are okay. If you don't go and say, let me analyze my process and how I deal with the client and how do I engage with the client, and actually look for opportunities to wow them. And we have those opportunities with our Hogwarts Promise, being able to give them regular feedback, making sure that the clients are updated and informed, making sure that we qualify buyers. For many of us, we haven't maybe been in a process of selling a property or buying a property in some time. But there are without a doubt many pain points for a seller when they sell their property, and they have to constantly clean their property and keep it tidy, just in the hope that someone comes and walks through the property, or possibly even pitches up, because many times buyers might even pitch up on the time that they were there. Finding ways that we can take away the pain of our clients and do that in a way that's unexpected, where they didn't even expect it from us. That should be out and out our ultimate goal, is being able to find the rare and small things that we can wow our clients with. The next part I want to go into, and this is just basically the end part of our session here, is maybe looking at a few of the ads. So we focus a lot about stuff that you can do free of charge, that you shouldn't be necessarily paying to do. But there are opportunities, and without a doubt, there's things that we should be looking into, because running ads is becoming a way that we should be looking into the future and finding alternative ways to market properties. Because Property 24, it's a lot of people go to Property 24 and private property and these platforms to find leads, but it costs a lot of money. We worked out a few years back that already at that point in time, a single lead costs your office 50 Rand. So every time a client literally clicks to view your contact information or says they're interested in the property, it works out to about 50 Rand for that lead. So if that lead isn't being nurtured and actually being worked, it means that we're basically taking 50 bucks and putting it into the dustbin. And subsequently, those platforms have become more expensive. And to some extent, it doesn't maximize the full potential of finding additional clients. So we should be looking at alternative ways to market properties and generate inquiries. So running a few ads is a good opportunity for us to do that. So what type of ads could we possibly be doing to generate some interest? Now, again, some of them might be specifically just for someone that wants to buy a property, for buyers, but I want to show you some that might also be applicable to you to generate some sellers. So type of ads, we looked at sneak peek. So as I mentioned earlier, maybe taking a few pictures of the property and uploading that as an ad and saying, listen, this is a property that's not yet on the market. And we would love to send you more information as soon as we've listed it. Leave your details and we'll make sure that we send it your way as soon as it's been listed. Another ad category is the recently sold. So we want to make sure that people still see us obviously as a reliable and successful real estate company or real estate agent. So making sure that we focus on showcasing the fact that we are actually able to sell stock that we have. Might just be something that, you know, if clients look for reputable agents, they want to go with an agent that actually can show that they are successful. So running some recently sold ads. One that I don't think we do enough, and I think it's because we are very humble in South Africa, but is actually showcasing our client reviews. So doing an ad where we actually showcase that we've received quite a few positive client reviews, taking the reviews that we have from our NPS scores and the surveys that we receive, adding it to one of the templates. And again, these are templates that we have on our H1 system, and having that run as a campaign for our clients to see that, you know, people in the community, this is currently what people have to say about you as an agent or your office. Even better, again, I know you might be tired of me telling you that video is the way that you need to be doing things, but more impactful is, this is an example of one of the offices that actually started doing or had at least a video ad. This is what I would say you need to be looking into is, why not have 4 video ads of clients doing testimonials about your service? So again, clients would also not be in favor of maybe doing videos. The idea would be, when you do the key handover with the client, congratulating them that, you know, they've purchased a property or that they've successfully sold a property, then ask them, listen, do you mind just doing a 30-second review or testimonial about my service that I can use for social media? It's almost understandable that sometimes if you ask them well in advance, they might have too much time to think about it and might possibly just say no. And again, if the client says no, don't worry too much about it, but try and make sure that you capitalize on this, because people love to see that we're very much a tribal community. Well, humans are typically tribal, where we follow the crowd. And if a lot of people are saying, listen, you know, I received exceptional service from this person, people then build trust with you as an individual. And again, doing that on video, it's, I think, a missed opportunity for many of us. If you don't do it on video, I think it's really a good opportunity to look into that. Then something that I've seen really amazing success with some of our campaigns, and again, I'm assisting some of our offices where we look at what is working and what isn't working. Without a doubt, the one campaign that ad campaign that we've run that does exceptionally well is providing information, providing value, and doing that in an area report. So simple, basic area report where you can obviously just showcase to anyone that wants to get any information. How many properties sold, freehold, sectional title, vacant stand, and what's the average selling price, and what's the trends in the area. Again, it goes back to that fact that people want to know what's happening in their area. And if you can even drill it down into a suburb to say, listen, you know, we might operate in this entire area, so in this example, 4 ways, but be able to actually give a report based on each individual suburb. For all of the offices that we've looked into this, where we looked at, you know, using this as an opportunity to generate some interest and convert that interest into potentially a valuation or getting more sellers or more buyers. This has been one of the campaigns without a doubt that I can say has performed the best to generate interest and engagement from clients when you decide to put some money towards it. Then we've got another one, Seller's Guide. And again, we've got all these guides are available on our H1 system, where if you go to the marketing department, there's actually under that product section, there's a section where all of our guides, literally just the guides are, that you can send and use that to be able to send to a client, because humans like to receive things for free. And this is just a prime example again of you being able to say, listen, we've got a seller's guide. Anyone that's currently living in this area that wants to sell their property, this is a must-have guide for you to be able to see what you need to be aware of when selling a property. The fact is, you're now making sure that anyone that wants to download that guide is either a seller or thinking about selling a property, or at least you know that they live in that area. So it becomes a great tool for you to be able to at least build on that and update your database with individuals that obviously have engaged with your ads. And then the last one is what I call the unicorn posts. So sometimes you do something that's an organic post. So you've maybe done something in the community that performs exceptionally well. So let's say you took on a project cleaning the neighborhood, and you see a lot of people are really engaging with that. A prime example was with Simon Smith, where he said the municipality actually changed the rates and taxes, and people had to submit valuations to justify that their rates and taxes shouldn't actually go up. And the office just had a post where they said, listen, they'll help the clients free of charge, just with a report that they can use to submit to the municipality to almost justify that their property value hasn't increased the way that the municipality has indicated it should. That was a perfect example of the unicorn post, where people were sharing that so much that if you put some money towards it, it would have reached even more individuals and could have possibly had even a bigger impact. So when you see that something is doing exceptionally well, that's your trigger to basically say, listen, I should put some money towards it, and then have it almost be reached by more individuals. So now we're pretty much almost done with our training session. I know we're 2 minutes over, but just wrapping it up here from my side. Just one thing that I want to mention. They've done studies where they show that, with ads, when it comes to ads, this ad on the left-hand side is just it's a stock image that's being used. This performs significantly worse than the picture on the right. Because it's on social media, they're almost averse to anything that's seen to be a brand or marketing. They don't want to be sold to. But the theory is that whenever you look at this picture, it's also an ad, you'll see that it says sponsored, but people tend to stop there, and that's what you want. You want someone to stop because they think they recognize this person in this picture, but yet it's actually an ad, and it's become so intense that we need to find ways to have people stop scrolling and actually look. And people tend to stop scroll and look when they think that they know one, or if they try to recognize someone. Making a post or creating an ad that's overly produced might not get you the same results as sometimes just using you standing in front of a house, knocking in a board, or handing someone a piece of paper and using that as an image for your ad. So you don't need to go overly professional. Obviously, we need to make sure it looks decent enough to be shared, but the idea is never to say, listen, don't overthink it and think that you need to go over and above and get a whole production team to create your ads for you. It's showing that just a picture of yourself or standard picture is decent enough that you can actually generate better results than using stock images. And then the last thing I want to maybe just share from my side is steal like an artist. And I'm going to just at the end just quickly show you from my side what I mean with steal by an artist. So many of you might not be aware of this, but I'm going to stop sharing this so I can share my actual screen, just actual website. What I mean by steal like an artist, the last tip I want to give you is that there's actually all the ads you'll see on Facebook. There's a central place where you can actually go and find them. So Facebook ads library, if you type that into Google, Facebook ads library is a place where you can actually go and see all of the active ads that your competitors are actually running. So for you needing to understand what you need to be focusing on and maybe looking at what your competitors might be doing and seeing if there's traction, you could use this tool. And again, it's free to everyone. You'll just select that it's South Africa. You'll indicate that it's all ads. And I'm going to put in here one of our competitors. So let's put in, let's just put in Bam Golding. Van Golding Properties. So let's have a look here. And they will then be able to show you, or this platform would be able to show you all of the active ads that are currently running on a platform like Facebook and Instagram. Now, what you need to do is, you shouldn't be copying whatever they're doing, but the idea is rather to say, let me look for signs of things that are performing well. And a clear way that you can see that is, if I see something where an ad was placed quite a lengthy time back, so let's say launched in April, this is a good example. So again, this is not a good example of maybe the idea, but what you need to be looking for is, if you see that they're running an ad, so maybe it's a buyer lead generation ad or something like that. If I see that something is actually running for a significant amount of time, they wouldn't be having or placing that ad if it hasn't shown any success. So the idea is then, like I said earlier, steal like an artist. You can't plagiarize whatever they're doing, but use this as inspiration to say, well, this seems to be working. I should see this as an opportunity to generate some sort of ad that might focus or address the same concerns this ad is addressing. So everyone, I know that we're a bit over our time, but I want to thank you all for being part of this training session. I do appreciate it as always. And yes, may you all have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday afternoon or morning. And we'll hopefully see you all at one of our next social media or training sessions for Harcourts. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.